Sí, hola, muy buenos días a todos los que están llegando y se están incorporando a el tercer día de la segunda semana del encuentro creativo. Entonces, hoy, como siempre, habrá una playa de mensajes, noticias, conocimiento, cosas que vamos a compartir, regalos, como siempre estamos. Entonces, les recuerdo que estamos buscando quien quiere irse a estudiar opciones en escuelas de posgrado, en una gran cantidad de institutos en Italia, y hoy particularmente estamos con el Domus Academy de Milano. Entonces, gracias a la Cámara de Comercio Italiana en México, la Embajada de Italia en México, el Italian Design Day y el Italia Que Gusto, junto con nuestros patrocinadores. Entonces, pues en lo que están entrando, si eso les parece bien, vamos a ver unas palabras del excelentísimo embajador Luigi de Chiara para recibirnos el día de hoy.
Soy Luigi de Chiara, embajador de Italia en México. Soy muy feliz de presentar Encuentro Creativo, una producción de la Cámara de Comercio Italiana en México con la Embajada de Italia. En México hay un potencial de talento creativo que me parece no logra salir de sus fronteras con la presentación de la oferta formativa de esas instituciones académicas en campo de industrias creativas italianas. Queremos ofrecer no solo la posibilidad de mejorarse de un punto de vista técnico, sino también de saber dónde van las tendencias, cómo se ha construido el éxito del Made in Italy, sobre todo en el sector del estilo de vida.
Es un evento muy importante, Encuentro Creativo, porque da la oportunidad a los estudiantes mexicanos egresados de universidades o de institutos académicos de conocer la oferta educativa que hay para cursos de posgrado en el campo del diseño, de la moda y de las artes gráficas.
Así que durante estas 2 semanas de Encuentro Creativo van a poder encontrar tips y conocer acerca de las mejores universidades y institutos italianos. Van a poder conocer a embajadores, a ponentes que están trabajando en la industria, que son también académicos de estas universidades. La finalidad es que disfruten de Italia, que conozcan Italia a través de estos webinars y seminarios y que se aventuren a vivir en Italia y vivir una experiencia llena de conocimiento, de sabiduría y de diseño y de moda. Espero que lo disfruten y muchísimas gracias.
Pues hola, muy buenos días. Hoy nos engalana realmente la presencia de Gianfranco Olivotto. Él es el líder del programa Máster en Diseño de Moda, Máster de Estilismo de Moda y Visual Merchandising en la Domus Academy. Entonces, él básicamente viene de un origen, de una licenciatura en Lenguas y Literatura Modernas en la Universidad de Catania, y de ahí se fue a Londres, donde empezó a trabajar como Visual Merchandiser para el grupo Benetton. De regreso a Italia, trabajó en proyectos con Dolce & Gabbana, Mantero Z, Juicy Couture. Desde el año 2000 trabajó en el lanzamiento de la primera colección de Neil Barrett, y luego se desempeñó como jefe del departamento de prensa y relaciones públicas ahí en Neil Barrett hasta 2004. En 2005, Olivotto cofundó una agencia de visual merchandising y branding que ha trabajado con marcas de moda legendarias como La Perla, Ralph Lauren, Borsalino, John Barbatos, desarrollando proyectos relacionados con el retail y la comunicación visual. Y hoy particularmente nos va a estar hablando de New Directions en Transmedia Fashion Communication, y esto básicamente va de la transformación en que los medios han estado dando nuevas formas como el desmontaje, la fusión, revelando el surgimiento de este transmedia. Entonces, en los últimos años, la industria de la moda ha respondido rápidamente a estas tendencias en comunicación y participa activamente en actividades de comunicación en los cuales el transmedia pues es el signo. Entre ellos, la estrategia de utilización de medios de Gucci, por ejemplo, pues ha atraído el interés de las nuevas generaciones. Thank you very much for being with us today, Gianfranco Olivotto. Without any other thing, please, you have the microphone and you can start the presentation. As long as you're presenting, maybe the people will be writing in the chat certain questions. So if that's all right with you, maybe I can translate it for you if they are in Spanish, or maybe even if it's in English, I can make you notice these questions. Or if not, if you prefer to the end, it will be as long as you wish.
Thank you, Gustavo. I comprendo español. Gracias por la presentación.
Gracias a ti.
Of course, I'm going to speak in English.
That's fine, that's fine.
Easier for everyone. But anyway, I can understand Spanish. Yes, thanks a lot for this presentation. That's my history, but you know that in fashion everything is changing, and I'm really happy to present to you this new way of communicating fashion, because I think that it's something that is happening. It's faster than what happened when we had the internet for the first time. So there are now, at the moment, there are different entry points in order to communicate fashion, and this is what we are going to do in this hour. So I'm gonna share my presentation. Okay, I hope you will see it.
Yes, we see it perfectly.
Okay, so yes, as we say, I'm going to talk about transmedia culture in fashion and communication. And yes, I would like to share with you this table of contents that I'm going to treat quickly. So just a look at what was the traditional fashion communication and what happened to this way of communicating. Then, of course, the new entry points in order to spread and widen the fashion communication in with different targets. The importance of storytelling, that of course it's one of the most important pillars of fashion communication. What is meant by transmedia concept, and then I would like to take some case of some brands that are doing a lot in this way, that are updating the fashion communication, and that are spreading this concept to different target, analyzing and producing, identifying the best media tool in order to communicate with them. Then, of course, we will have a conclusion and some questions. So I would like to start with one of the most important tools that we have always used in order to communicate fashion and to appreciate fashion, the physical magazine. Physical magazine, we strongly believe that they will have a future, but this will be very different from the past, and we are assisting to this kind of change of the traditional fashion magazine. Usually the fashion magazine was sold in a kiosk, in an agent's kiosk, and that was the only opportunity that you had to be in contact with a fashion brand. Inside the magazine, of course, you had the traditional advertising campaign. This is a traditional advertising campaign of Chanel. And of course, then there were all the fashion editorials with the work of stylists, art directors, photographers that were working on this project, because that was the only tool in order to communicate the new collection by designers. Of course, to create an advertising campaign, it took a lot of time and it was very expensive. Fashion designer, the director of the creative director of the brand, they organized the advertising campaign 6 months ahead with with a big team. They moved in another country in order to shoot the advertising campaign. And this was the most important element of all the season. Thinking to this advertising campaign, they then developed all the different kind of communication. It was the DNA of the collection that then was reproposed in other touch point. One of the other touch point was, of course, the physical store with the window display. Most of the time, since the advertising campaign was very expensive, they spend a lot of time. They used the same billboards used for the advertising campaign on the window pane. Yes, of course, there is a completely, the situation is completely changing, and we will see this today. I would like to start with this beautiful video of the last advertising campaign of Burberry with this creative director, Riccardo Tisci. This is a short video. It's not working. Sorry.
I'm not quite sure, but I think if you go to full screen, it will be easier to play it.
Yeah, where can I go to full screen? Okay, I can tell you, and then probably we can go back to see it. Anyway, this is a nice advertising campaign that starts in a traditional way with some stylists, some models wearing the new collections, walking in a beautiful field, and then they start flying in the air. This is something that will be really interesting, and we will see later, because it's an influence of the new social media. It's the importance of TikTok, for example, where everything is based on irony, is based on humor, it's something comic, and this involves the viewer in a better way, for sure. So what is happening to the scenario of the magazine, of the physical magazine? We have assisted that the number of magazines outnumbered the launches by almost 4-to-1. Launches of new magazines are squeezing into tight, and we are looking at vertical niche rather than filling broader base gaps. Linked to that, the coverage price of the magazine jumped, so this is why probably millennials are not buying any more print magazine, and monthlies are still the most common frequency. But we strongly believe, and this is a quote from Alexandra Schulman, a former Vogue editor-in-chief, the future of print magazine could lie in switching to less frequent special editions. So we will have magazines that will publish their content in 6 months or bi-monthly, but they will exist, and it will be more a niche program. So this is why it's going to be a niche market, and so since we will have fashion magazine, but how can we communicate to a larger audience? So of course, all the skills or the knowledge and the tools that traditional publishers have used in the past will surely stand in a good stead, and it's just a matter of adapting to the digital age and embracing the future of publishing. Of course, storytelling, as I was saying before, it's one of the most pillar of fashion communication. And this storytelling, once you have thought a fashion brand has considered the most important way to tell the story of their collection, can be applied in the most unique and creative way nowadays. Nowadays, of course, we are targeting millennials that have become a big part of this purchasing force in many industries, but of course, especially in fashion. They do not want to buy just a product. They want to have, they want to buy something that can make a positive impact in the brand. And if the brand doesn't have a purpose, they are not so much involved. Today, the brand is not enough to produce all these kind of trendy. So they are applying also to some other agencies in order to develop this concept. And millennials are really interested in the development of this part. Probably there is someone that can help me to input in a full screen.
A ver, chavos, ¿cómo se hace la pantalla completa en PowerPoint?
Puede presionar F5 o ahí donde dice presentaciones. Eco.
Ah, okay. Okay, let's see if it works. Okay. No?
I've already put in the chat the link to the Burberry video.
Okay, so that's the video that was not working at the beginning and that I would like to show you about the Burberry's creative director Riccardo Tisci campaign, so that we can see how everything changed from a static image on a magazine, on a fashion magazine, to a video, so something that is going to be animated. And this is a big shift from static images to animated communication. Okay, so I think that as Riccardo Tisci said, this campaign is looking forwards, looking to the future. And of course, it's really important to think who is going to be the target. The target is the new millennials, our Generation Z, that are really interested in this kind of things. Also because this was accelerated by the advent of new social media, such as TikTok, for example, where they're using a lot of irony. They are making ballet, they are dancing inside the company, and this is communicating to this audience in a better way than a physical magazine that is there, that will be always there, will be just for a niche, but we have to spread the communication to other medias. So this is across media. We had a storytelling, we have a narrative that was delivered in different platforms, and it was the media that was different. Then the content was the same, the storytelling was the same. Today with Transmedia, we are looking at a different approach to these channels. There are, of course, different platforms that are telling probably some just a part of the story. They are not telling everything, but then putting together all the communication is going to be a more consistent way of looking at fashion, of contributing to fashion, because there is a lot of content that is generated by the same consumer. And there is going to be this kind of interaction that is what we are looking forward. So just to make a recap, across media, there was one story, there were many channels, and there was a cross-media storytelling. The same content was conveyed through the various communication channels, and there were just some adjustments made because of the medium and the language. But no communications tool contains additional different information compared to the others. With Transmedia, we are looking at one story, but we will have segmented stories. That's also a reflection of the series that we are looking on different channels, Netflix, that we are used to look at segmented stories, forms and channels. It's the terms, it's a term that was coined by Eric Jekyll in 2006, and it was the first one to talk about transmedia storytelling. And that says that it's a process in which all the different integrated elements of a narrative are systematically separated and disseminated through different communication channels, with the aim of creating this unification of entertainment experience and coordination. Ideally, each media makes a unique contribution to the development of the history. And so we have this, this is just a graphic representation of what was the old world, where there were, of course, we talk about fashion editorials, movie, game, that is something new, of course, a book, but the way they were put together, they were completely separated. So they were not contributing one to the other. Nowadays, with this new way of communicating, we have all the different channels, but they are creating a whole that satisfies the sum of the parts. It's a sort of puzzle that you have to put together, the consumer has to put together in order to enjoy the communication of the fashion brand. And of course, we have a new word that is coming up in fashion communication, that is the neuromarketing. In the past, yes, you were pleased by looking at beautiful, aesthetically beautiful images produced by an important fashion photographer with the help of stylists, makeup artists, and all the team. Today, we, fashion communication and communication in general, wants to reach different channels from only site. We want to create and give a better emotion on the viewer, involving the viewer, the consumer, and helping them to be emotionally attracted by the communication. So in recent years, fashion industry is the one that has responded quickly to trends and is starting to be actively engaged in transmedia communication activities. Among them, I can mention I had some case of Gucci's and Balenciaga's media utilization strategies. So we saw Burberry's, but we will see also something after by Burberry that are attracting the millennial. And this is really important because since, of course, we are in a school, I asked to my students if they are buying magazines, and they say yes, but they are not so involved in buying magazine. That probably is a niche market for an older generation. They are more involved in this, of course, social media and transmedia communication. So these brands can really let understand how this transmedia communication can be employed to enjoy the storytelling of fashion communication and spread its value not only to that niche market, but reaching all the different targets that a fashion brand wants to target. So this is the case of Gucci, for example, that in the past, of course, Gucci is a brand that has changed in the past according to the trends and setting the trends, especially with Alessandro Michele in the last period. So it was a traditional fashion company that was doing their campaign, advertising campaign and fashion editorial. But now Gucci is working with a lot of different entry points. It's just involving also fashion design, not only local fashion designers, but also poets, illustrators that are contributing to their communication. If we have a look at Gucci Instagram account, we can see that it's not only about fashion products, but there is a collaboration of different artists. And of course, they are the first one to create some communities in order to promote the brand in an indirect way on the web. And of course, organization for women, for inclusivity, for gender equality, for time for change are all involving different people. This is a community that Gucci is creating on Instagram about the gender equality. And of course, people inside the Gucci customers are participating to these communities in order to know more about the brand. And of course, one of the most important gaming company worked together with Gucci in order to create, to attract a new audience and also to encourage other developers to dive in. How could we create an experience that exemplified what Gucci stood and for and bring in existing and new user in the space? It's not just about games, but it's sort of a virtual reality where visitors can enter this Gucci garden and they can experience with their avatars what the brand can offer. So wandering through these different rooms of this Gucci garden, visitors absorb, can buy elements of the exhibition, and with every person experiences the room in a different order and retaining different fragments of the space, they will emerge at the end of their journey as one-of-a-kind creations, reflecting the idea of individual as one among many, yet wholly unique. So this is the Roblox collaboration with the Gucci Garden, where you can experience the brand. Of course, another important point that is about storytelling is how we can include everyone in our communication and how we can be considered sustainable. So we have seen that also the the biggest mass market brand like such as H&M start thinking about creating a campaign that are completely focused on clothing recycling. So they created this campaign that is they close the loop that is not only about sustainable fashion but also about inclusivity, using also people or influencers that are really important for their community. So by using influencer and creating this community, they can reach a wider audience. What is important in order to create what luxury brand has to do in order to communicate like this? Of course, we said that the brand storytelling is the most important element to communicate its value to customers and creating this sort of interaction, engagement with them. Create social content. It's not just an aesthetical, beautiful images of a fashion campaign, but it's also to communicate something more. So turning to influencer and ensure transparency about those collaboration with consumers. Find a new way to do this kind of experiential marketing. With their feedbacks, with their generated content, the consumer generated content, they can build a meaningful relationship with the consumer. And it will also generate more UGC, user-generated content. Consumers can interact and can produce their own content. And of course, tailor the communication in line with the values and behaviors of millennials to build loyalty amongst even this notorious disloyal demographic. Branded content is what the content, the storytelling that we have to produce in order to communicate. And the purpose is to fit the audience that truly interests us. We have seen that, of course, a fashion advertising campaign in the past was made for everyone. There was no distinction about the different consumer inside the brand. Now, of course, collection, we're talking the example of Gucci, are big, and so there are different products for different targets. So we have to really understand who are our consumer, and the solution is to create this transmedia content and then adapting this message to each media and the audience that we want to impact. So the user itself is transformed into an actor, is part of a visual show where the product, the brand, and the media summarize the lure that needs an authentic transmedia script. It is why fashion brands nowadays are analyzing the way in which new technology will give more visibility to their profile, generate more sales, and increase the loyalty of their customer. A quote from Moore. Today, as I said, fashion brands are not selling just products, they are selling some experience, and they're selling also the experience that the influencer produce on the social. We have an example of the blonde salad by Chiara Ferragni, that of course what she wears is not just a product, it's something that has an added value for the buyer. And so we are talking of this sort of second creativity that is something stated by Maslow, that it's a recognition to all those content that is created in a different way by using technical, scientific, or artistic nature. Okay, it's a technology that is forged with virtual reality and augmented reality systems, and where the viewer it's in a space which invites the subject to interact in a sensorial manner with the fictitious environment that digital mechanism recreate. So now let's go to Burberry, for example. This is how they are distributing their communication. We have, okay, the two big channels, online and offline. Then, of course, we have all in the online, we have the networking with all the social media. And of course, the platform Burberry that is providing the e-commerce, for example. Then we have the stores where, of course, in this case, we really like the fashion brands, and especially all the projects that we are doing in Domus Academy are completely based on this retail experience. The store is not more a place where you can go and just buy a bag or clothes. It's a place where you can have an experience, and the better the experience is, the better the words of mouth will be, the communication will be. So stores are not only place where you can see a beautiful window display on the front and get inside and buy and do your shopping, but it's a place where you can reduce the anxiety of buying something, but having an experience that can be an interactive experience as well. And then, of course, the live shows with streamings and holograms, all the technologies that the brand is using. Thanks. I don't know if thanks, but of course, the creation of this virtual world with augmented reality has generated also another sector in fashion production in general, that is the NFT, non-fungible tokens. So these are virtual goods, the one that you can buy in the Gucci garden, for example. There are goods that you can buy with cryptocurrency, and that you are the only owner of that product. Of course, these are some examples of NFT, non-fungible token, so sneakers that can be bought in this platform, and that you will be the only owner of the brand. This is a way also to find the new channels, new entry points in order to tell the story of your brand. But of course, they sell also NFT with clothes, and this is a dress that was created by Dapper Labs, and was designed by the fabricant. The fabricant is another important Dutch company that is completely a digital company. They are doing everything online, and so they are. The design was illustrated by the creative director. Then it was produced in a digital way by this company, and it was bought for $9,500 by this lady Mary, that of course she was sharing on her social media the new NFT dress. So metaverse, it's a parallel reality where we can work, we can play, we can interact with others. This is of course generated by the cycling the lockdowns, the social distancing that we are facing in this moment. And this feeling of disconnection and isolation has generated the production of this kind of virtual products. A lot of other companies like Balenciaga, they are collaborating with platforms that are producing a game like Fortnite. That is becoming a world of its own, blurring the lines between real world and virtual experience. We know also that Amazon has started this new social Twitch that probably it will be also the future of communication, where you can, it's a sort of stream TV where you can present your ideas, you can interact with the people, and you can promote fashion brands that of course are live streaming there. And then this is a breaking news. You know that tomorrow Mark Zuckerberg is launching a new platform that of course probably it will be Facebook will be declining, and it will be gradually substituted by this social that is called the metaverse. So they will start to hire 10,000 people in Europe in order to develop this project about this virtual social media, where people could interact, and of course it will be one of the most important entry point of fashion communication. Balenciaga, for example, this is just important just to understand how fashion brands are finding new entry points from the ordinary media that we have seen in the past. So Daimler Vestalia collaborated directly with Fortnite, the gaming platform, in order to bring the physical and the virtual worlds together, and collaborated, of course, together using the same the brand, the logo of both companies, Fortnite and Balenciaga. They created this avatar, these virtual characters that are interacting with the public, that are working in order to promote the brand in a different way and to a different target. Of course, in this platform where you can play with them, you can also buy some non-fungible token. And let's see, this is the advertising campaign that usually we had a static billboard. Now we have something completely different that is interacting virtually with the audience. And this is, of course, the last event that Balenciaga presented in Paris. So instead of having a traditional fashion show, now it was possible to have a catwalk show physically with a physical audience. He just wanted to do something completely different. He contacted Matt Groening of the company the producer of Simpson, in order to create an episode based on Simpson and Balenciaga. So all the characters are wearing, of course, Balenciaga outfit, and he just used a theater, Le Châtelet in Paris. He invited all the press. Anna Wintour was there, of course, and all the most important fashion editors with a red carpet together with the models wearing the new collections. They were invited to sit the theater and to watch an episode of Simpson. This is something that was unthinkable in the past, for a luxury brand to do something like this. But it was the most important event in Paris in order to communicate the new collection of Balenciaga. And yes, this is just, we can see some part of this beautiful episode. This is what happened after, where they put together the outfit with the real outfit. So it's a virtual and real. That's the designer, Demna Gostalia. And it's important to say that it's the right woman I want to reach, because the communication is really human-centered, to understand the needs of your consumer. And then, of course, this is the updated version where there is the e-commerce that is not only showing the new collection, but also promoting the products of the new collection.
Gianfranco, that's amazing. And you have a lot of comments inside the chat. People are mentioning about known singers, artists promoting brand during tours, the biggest influence now about the K-pop artists working with ambassadors of most recognized brands, about how is the digital strategies nowadays. And they have a lot of questions about which will be the future, how it's going to be developing the editorial world, which magazines will prevail.
Yes, you mean, can you just synthesize the question, because I was listening, it was too noisy.
All right.
Yeah.
Amazing, because at least in my part, I cannot hear it, so it was amazing. Well, the main commentary is, let me find it. What currently challenge and changes front-facing the magazine prints?
Yes, in the magazine print, it changes a lot. we can see that, of course, the reduction of fashion magazine, of course, and so the niche, it's going to be a niche market. The way that they are, of course, doing the shooting, it's the traditional way. Of course, they're working digital, not in analogic anymore. So it's going to be easier, of course, to produce fashion editorials. The big change that the print magazine are facing is that they are becoming a sort of image agency. So they have the magazine that it's really important in order to communicate their style, the way that they the technique how they are promoting brands. And so a lot of fashion companies are asking directly to fashion magazine to create their social campaign. The social campaign, their advertising campaign in general. And of course, they are using different tools. That is not only now the print magazine, but they have, of course, a platform. They have got their magazine online that is creating a new, different content for a new, for a different target. Because of course, if you can reach the target with a print magazine, you can reach a larger audience with your online magazine, with your social, and collaborating or creating, as Gucci is doing, communities that will promote the brand and the magazine as well.
Right. And also they are speaking about the influence, not only of influencer, but K-pop artists working with the brands. For example, Dio, where Jisoo of Blackpink was the main attraction, and singer artists even promote the brand during tours or press-filled events like red carpets.
Of course, we have assisted to different stages and steps. I remember that when I started working in Domus Academy, I asked Chiara Ferragni to come to Domus Academy and give a lecture. And then everyone was upset because, of course, she's a blogger. She's not a fashion icon. What has she do with Domus Academy? Then, of course, she became what she is, and we are really pleased to have her here in Domus 10 years ago. They have got a big potential. They are making a big profit for the brands. Of course, it's really important to have to find also the right influencer that can help to promote the brand on their social. It's not that easy. That's why there are companies that usually in the past they were just a press company that were promoting the brand, but now they have a section that is devoted to influencer. So there are people that are looking at the influencer and combining the influencer with the collection. So it's really important to also understand who is going to be in fashion communication your influencer. And sometimes, for example, for TikTok, that there was this big increase during lockdown. It's really important that you understand the language. So some of people outsource the communication of in TikTok to different companies, to different agencies. So I mean that fashion communication is it's more interesting at the moment than in the past, because in the past it was just made by a very important team that was producing beautiful images and communicating that. Nowadays, there are different channels that can offer the opportunity also to students to develop their own skills in that area and try to understand the language and the DNA of the fashion brand and communicate to this larger audience. For example, in these images that you can see on the screen. I was really upset when I was walking down Via Monte Napoleone and I saw this window display of Balenciaga. Usually the window display was one of the most important communication tool to communicate fashion. Now you can see they have found out different entry points, like the collaboration with Fortnite, the collaboration with Simpson, and in the store you can see only the arrays with 2 outfits hanging, because of course this is an invitation to go inside and to have an experience inside the store.
All right. Well, pretty much, I'm afraid we have ended our time. So
yes, no, that was the end. It was just the importance of TikTok. That is creating a new way of communicating. Vogue, for example, when you were talking about print magazine, what are they doing? This is the September issue of Vogue Italia, where the director decided to create 10 different covers in order to reach 10 different targets. So there was one about this beautiful Solvay in Tuscany, where there was shot by a photographer that is not a fashion photographer. Then there was this piece of art of Michelangelo, so involving a different artist, poet, influencer, everyone, just to spread in a larger way their communication. Amazing. Thanks a lot for listening to me, and sorry for this problem with the video.
No, it was absolutely amazing to hear you, and I think I learned a lot, and certainly in all the comments it's saying thank you, Gianfranco. It's unbelievable how the fashion industry is reinventing once again. Thank you so much. Everything was very interesting. The Vogue Italia, it's just wonderful. It's one of the best, etc. So thank you very much for sharing your experience, your Domus Academy point of view, and the ways that you are transforming how to understand and think in the transmedia fashion in the 21st.
Yeah, it's something that probably we do not know what is going to happen, but that's the starting point for sure.
Certainly. And now, if that's all right with you, vamos a ver un video con un testimonio precisamente de alguien que ha pasado por Domus Academy desde aquí, desde México. Entonces tenemos el video de Javier Orduño, alumno. Entonces, corre video. Play.
Dame un segundo, Gus.
Sí.
Hola, soy Javier Orduño, egresado de Domus Academy. Yo hice mi máster en diseño y mercadotecnia de bienes de lujo y el haber estudiado en Italia ha sido una de las mejores decisiones que he tomado en toda mi vida, porque me dio la oportunidad de conocer a gente muy brillante, muy capaz, gente extraordinaria, además de que adquirí muchos conocimientos y competencias que creo que de alguna otra manera no lo hubiera podido hacer. Actualmente yo soy director de arte y de mercadotecnia de una compañía tecnológica y de moda que se llama Elscorp, que de hecho uno de sus fundadores fue mi mentor. Esto para mí ha sido una gran experiencia, tanto el estudiar en Italia como trabajar aquí, en un ambiente muy estimulante, ya que es una de las capitales de la moda y del diseño.
Bueno, pues esa es parte de la experiencia que les toca si van a estudiar ahí en Domus. Muchísimas gracias, Gianfranco, y tenemos el cierre. Gracias.
Thanks a lot for everything,
Thank you very much.
Listening to me. Bye.
Bye. Entonces, pues para cerrar, muchísimas gracias a todos que han estado aquí. Por supuesto, gracias a nuestros patrocinadores. Y de hecho, pues recuerden que tenemos sesiones en la tarde. Entonces, pues nuestros patrocinadores que siempre estamos agradeciendo es Fénix, Amoretti Brothers, Vialetti, Alfa Parf, Yamamay, Seña, Grupo Berlingo, Secretos del Vino, Capricho, Ferrero, San Pellegrino, Cinzano, Aperol Spritz, Ferrari, y pues todos ellos, muchísimas gracias, junto con las escuelas y todos ustedes participando. Entonces, nos vemos en la siguiente sesión. Arrivederci.